Hello everyone, this is me, Big T, and today we're doing another fanfiction reading called Skeletons in the Closet by TheWineDude. So this is a Naruto fanfiction. It deals with Hinata as the main character. So, I'm just schmucky duck reading. If you enjoyed the story, link down below, give the author some love. You know the drill. And with that, it's a story now, so just coming back up. We're Skeletons in the Closet. It so happened that the book that Kura and I asked to borrow was one that Neji had borrowed a few years ago, but had forgotten to return. It took a while for Hinata to remember the fact that she had lent the book to him in the first place because she, too, had forgotten. So for today, for the first time in over a year, someone would enter the room that had been left neglected. "Nisama!" greeted the bubbly voice of Hanabi as Hinata walked through the entrance of the Hyuga estate. "Welcome home! How was your mission?" Hinata smiled down at her sister. "It went smoothly," she answered. "You look cheerful today. Did something good happen?" "I finally got up to 128 palms. Father was impressed," said Hanabi, sticking out her chest with pride. "That's wonderful." The disgraced heiress really was happy for her little sister. Hinata was sure that if the elders chose Hanabi instead, that she would make a wonderful head of the Hyuga. She, too, was determined to change their ways, especially after the death of their cousin. "Hey, where are you going?" The younger girl asked when she noticed that Hinata was walking toward the branch quarters instead of reporting back to their father like she normally did after missions. "Oh, I'm just retrieving a book from Neji's room that I lent him a while back, when he was still alive." The unspoken words flitted through both sisters' minds. "Really? What's the title?" Hanabi decided to tag along with her older sister. Besides, she hadn't ever been in Neji's room before, and she was curious as to what was inside. "The Fountainhead," Hinata answered. Hanabi huffed. "That sounds like a boring book." "Actually, it was pretty interesting. I disagree with many of the ideas presented, but it gives a lot of insight into laissez-faire." The younger girl didn't bother with asking what laissez-faire was. She vaguely recalled that it had to do with an economic theory from the West, from one of her father's lectures, but that was it. The two sisters were hit with a musty smell when Hinata slid open the door to Neji's room. It was just as sparse as she remembered, with nothing more than a bookshelf and a desk. His futon was tucked away in the closet where she knew he also kept his clothes and ninja equipment. The floor was already covered in dust, and the desk in the corner was no better. Then there were the pictures of his father, his team members, and a more recent family photo from before the war, all left exactly as they were. It was almost too painful to look at. Not wanting to stick around long, Hinata made no delay in going straight to his bookshelf and started looking for the borrowed novel. "Wow, Nissan's books are just as boring as yours," commented Hanabi, browsing the lower shelves. "I can't believe you willingly read this stuff." "It's definitely an acquired taste," Hinata replied nonchalantly. She pulled out a book that was a bit thinner than the rest of the collection and dusted it off. "I found it. The Fountainhead. Let's go, Hanabi." But the younger girl had turned her attention to something else. On one of the shelves hidden behind the heavy books were magazines obscured by dust and darkness. "Nisama, I think I found his porno collection." "Hanabi, leave it." Neji was an 18-year-old man, so Hinata supposed it was such to be expected. Still, she couldn't help but be a little surprised by the fact about her notoriously prude cousin. She had a hard time imagining him going into a bookstore to buy such magazines, for the Hyuga were extraordinarily strict about their reputation. Her little sister ignored the order and went right on, pulling them out. "This has got to be good." "Holy shit!" "Language, Hanabi," Hinata warned, but she nearly dropped her own book in shock when she saw the topmost magazine. On the cover was the image of a well-muscled man who donned a pair of tight trousers, posing suggestively. There was a seductive glint in his eyes, and the placement of his hand drew attention to his broad tanned chest. The label at the bottom read Adults Only. The other magazine covers were also of the same vein, featuring handsome shirtless men. Not as handsome as Naruto, of course, but Hinata had to admit that they looked good. Hanabi flipped through one of them, blushing and giggling. Hinata snatched the issue from her sister's hands. "That's not appropriate for you." "But Nisama!" "No," Hinata said firmly. She quickly gathered the other volumes in her hands and stuffed them under her jacket. "We can't let the elders know about his preferences, or they'll disown him. We'll have to get rid of these before they find out." "Fine," huffed Hanabi. The two left the room, Hinata shutting the screen door behind them firmly before they went out to find the nearest recycling bin. Along the way, Hanabi was stopped by one of the clan elders who wanted her to prepare for an upcoming meeting, leaving Hinata to dispose of the magazines herself. Muttering under her breath, Hinata continued down the hallway that led to the waste bins. "Hinata, you're back." At the sound of the voice behind her, Hinata dropped the magazines and they spilled around her feet. She looked up to see her father's face. An awkward moment of silence passed before she managed to stutter. "Wait, I can explain." She started to fidget with her fingers, a habit that she hadn't slipped into since she was made to Chunin, except around Naruto, of course. Hayashi stood there, staring for another awkward minute with his eyebrows furrowed. Then he sighed. "Hinata, I know you are a young woman, and you have your interests." Her face burned as she expected her father to begin lecturing her about her reputation as an heiress of the Hyuga, and how she should keep her sexual urges in check. However, Hayashi did not lecture her. Instead, he continued. "But as an adult, your choices are up to you. I'll admit my behavior was similar to yours when I was around that age. I trust that you will not give yourself away to someone before you are married." Of course not, father." Hinata reassured, still twiddling her fingers. He nodded. "Make sure the council doesn't see those. It would be troubling if they discover that you were into such material." "Yes, father." Hayashi was surprisingly understanding, even when he misunderstood, for the magazines were not hers, and for that she was grateful. When her father left, Hinata quickly dumped the magazines in the bin and buried them under a mound of paper. The elders would not care to look. Hinata and Hanabi remained the only ones who ever knew their cousin's secret. And that was Skeletons in the Closet by TheWineDude. I like how it took a moment that for some people it was very terrifying and adds it to this universe, and it made it feel real. It made it feel so everyone, even if you're not, everyone has something they can look to and go, "Oh, okay, I understand." They can empathize with someone, and that was a well done job by TheWineDude. So if you liked what I did, I'm Schmucky Duck here reading it, but if you like the story, link down below, fan fiction, author, go, send reviews, send good vibes, you know the drill, and I will see you all next time. Ta-ta for now.